What is up, everybody? Welcome back. It's a pleasure as always. Today I'm talking about scams, specifically those geared more towards small businesses and or self-employed people. And a big part of that reason is because I myself have had to encounter scams, a good handful of them, and I just want to make sure other people are aware so that way what has happened to me doesn't happen to you, right? So make sure you stick around, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, and before I move forward, smash that like button. Stay tuned. Let's get into it. So, for starters, the first time I got scammed, I didn't even know. I don't even know how it happened at all. I'm assuming it was, I don't know if you guys have seen it or if you know what I'm talking about, but you've seen those fake things people can put on card scanners and they pretty much steal your information or your card information. I think it was something like that. I didn't pay at a gas pump, but the only thing that came to mind was I went to a gas station that I don't typically go to, and it's a somewhat sketchy gas station. But I woke up one morning and looked at my account, and $950 something were taken out. I think it was 956 and some change. And this is probably like 7 o'clock in the morning, so my bank's not open yet. And it says Google Ads and some numbers after that. So I'm like, Google Ads? Man, I hooked up Google Ads like once for like a day or something, or maybe it was like 3 days. It was like $30. And I'm like, so I'm thinking like, did I keep it on the whole time or something? And I was confused. And so I look up Google Ads number. I see they open at 8. I look up my bank. They open at 8. So I'm waiting. So now 8 o'clock comes, and literally like 8:03, I'm getting ready to call the bank, and I receive a call from the fraud department. And so I answer it. Oh gosh, sorry. I have a nose hair tickling my nose right now. There we go. So I get in contact with my bank, verify it's fraud, and go to my bank, get a new card. Then the next day, the same exact thing happened. And why that happened was because they had tried running the amount multiple times. And once I put more money back into the account, because they had tried to already take it out, it cleared. So the next day, I pretty much go through the same thing, although I don't have to worry about getting a new card. So within 24 hours, I had over $2,000 taken from me. And, I got every penny back, but in that moment, it was just very expensive. And, I had to wait about a week or so or something for the money to clear and come back. So luckily, I also had more money to be able to utilize and still make money and stuff. So that's the first time I got scammed. Next time I was doing a job, and it was a Senpex job, and I believe I actually made a short about it. But somehow, some way, somebody was able to reroute a package, and they had sent me a message through the Senpex saying, hey, when you get to the UPS store, let me know. And I'm just like, okay. I'm pretty sure all the information I need Senpex has already given me, but okay. And then Senpex actually calls me and says, hey, this is fraud. Do not deliver the package, turn around and return it back to the people who sent it out. And that's what I did. So that's, that was one of the smaller ones, but it's definitely something to be aware of. Another one that happened, and this is the one that was successful, unfortunately, against me personally, I was driving a U-Haul, and this is kind of part of the reason. I was in a U-Haul, stopped to get gas. Somebody comes up to me and they're like, Assalamu alaikum. And it's funny because I'm just not a typical person who you would assume to be Muslim. So, and I'm like, well, like a Muslim, what can I do for you? And he's like, hey man, you know, I mean, he's not sounding like that. He has a different dialect and everything, but he goes on to say he lost his wallet. He is from New York. He's with his family, and he had his son and wife in the back seat. And I'm assuming that that's who they really were, because it really fit the description. And he goes, and I really need some money to be able to get gas and be able to make it there. And it's like, I see, well, how much do you need? And he's like, well, I need enough to be able to get to New York and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, man, how about, you know, I can probably float you like $60, you know, just to do you a favor. I don't know anything about what's going on, whatever. And he starts laughing, right? And I'm like, oh, that's not enough. And so he's like, he kind of goes on to say, like, you know, he has a bunch of money, right? He's saying he has a bunch of money. And he actually starts taking off jewelry. He's taking off jewelry, and I'm not really thinking like we're bartering here by any means. I'm thinking he's just trying to be generous, right? Trying to give somebody the benefit of the doubt. And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to take the jewelry, man. If you need some money, I mean, you know, here's $60. And he's like, well, hey man, this ring alone is like $1,500. And he hands it to me. You know, there was some weight to it. I didn't really check it out or anything. I am into precious metals and coin collecting and stuff. So I'm surprised I didn't take a second look at it, but that aside. And I'm like, man, I don't know. You know, like, this is weird. So he takes off a necklace and he's like, no man, here, and this is just for you. I mean, like, I don't expect anything in return. I just need money to be able to get to New York. And I'm like, okay, how about $100? You know, I'll give you $100. And it's kind of the same, whatever, you know, and he takes out like a ring from his pocket or another ring off his finger or something like that. And he's like, really, man, I need a little bit more, yada, yada. And I'm like, 300 is the best I can do, man. Like, you know, I'm a small business owner. I'm local here. I have a family to provide for. I don't know if you're being honest or not. I have no idea, but, you know, I'm willing to help you out. And so I gave him the $300, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Because I was into coin collecting and precious metals and stuff like that, having silver, and I don't have gold, but I have silver. And so I go to a local store here in Kalamazoo that I frequent somewhat, and I kid you not, literally instantaneously, the moment I pull it out of my pocket, he's like, that's fake. And I was like, really? You could tell that this is fake? And he was like, oh yeah. And so at first, you know, I'm thinking like, I was thinking at first he was a little bit like, oh, this guy's just trying to scam me out of money. But I told him after a second, I was like, so this is actually the situation that just happened. And I explained to him just what happened. So I'm like, I just got then, I guess. And he was like, seriously, don't feel bad. He's like, it's the most generous of people who get scammed. And because they genuinely want to help somebody who's probably in a pinch, right, or a stranger. And it's like, yeah, totally, you know. And the thing that caught me off guard is the fact that he came up to me saying assalamu alaikum, but what made me a target for the scammer was I was in a U-Haul, potentially. I'm assuming because this got me and the other coin dealer, he brought it up and he said, you know, they'll target people who would typically have money on them, and people who are, you know, moving and stuff would typically be traveling with money. So So that's one occasion. Another occasion I'll talk about is one that happened somewhat more recently, and I want to bring it up because it was like, it seemed like one of the more legit ones. I had received a letter saying it was from the state of Michigan, saying that my annual review or my annual report is past due and I owed a fine. And the letter went on to say, if things aren't taken, if you don't take any action, the business could just be demolished or diminished, however they worded it, and pretty much just gotten rid of by any legal matter. And I'm like looking at this letter. There's a QR code, and there's no phone number, which is what originally threw me off. So I scan the QR code and I type in whatever it is it wanted me to type in, and it was also the information they had already provided on their paper they sent me to, and it said the total amount was $200, but I had a $100 late fee, so the total amount was $300. And I'm like, what? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. Okay, yeah, I didn't send Michigan a paper, right? But like, how would I be fined $300? Like, it just didn't make any sense. So I get on Google, I type in literally the title of the paper, and it didn't bring up anything scam-wise. But there was a number for Laura, Lara, for you to contact for like this specific purpose, for the annual reports and yada yada, and filing your business and LLC. So I call the number and I get a hold of somebody and I tell them the title of the paper, and he's like, oh yeah, that's fraud. And I was like, really? This is fraud? And he's like, yeah, those papers have been going around. They're trying to get people to pay them, obviously in somewhat of a threatening way, to where you have a sense of urgency, yada yada. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so glad I called you guys, because it was going to like threw me for a loop, thinking I had to pay money to Michigan for whatever reason. And so that's another thing, and the reason why the number originally threw me off, the fact that there wasn't a number on there, is because you receive something like that, you're going to want to talk to somebody. Somebody's telling you your business could be possibly just diminished. You're like, no, who just sent this letter? Okay, let me talk to them. Like that's the type of mindset you're going to have. So if something doesn't feel right, if something doesn't seem right, do your due diligence, do your research, make sure you actually know where your money's going, because it can happen to anybody. It happens quick, and it'll hurt anybody. I think that's going to do it for my examples. You guys, please be aware out there. Make sure you're being conscientious of maybe even people's intentions, right? Why they would want to do something at any given time. So, but until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.